Hello and welcome to this Jaguar XK8 F1 Switchshift video. This is video 131 in our series of XK8 videos. In this video we're going to show you all we've found out about this quite rare modification to your automatic gearbox to have sort of paddle shift features basically through buttons on the back of your steering wheel. This is a bit of a follow-on video from video 130 where we're detailing all the Paramount performance modifications that are available together with Ardent in Germany. In this video we're going to split it down into 4 sections. First of all, explain Racelogic and actually the origins of the Switchshift gearbox modifications. Section 2, look at the Paramount advert which advertised the features. Section 3, actually a price list from Racing Green which details the cost and the options for the 2 different switch shifts available. And finally, section 4, this is a magazine review from Jaguar World where the guys there reviewed the Paramount modified XKR with this fitted. If you're interested in this video, you're interested in Jaguar XK8 XKRs, please take a look at our channel O&DR Modurol. Okay, Racelogic. So Racelogic are best known for data logging and basically recording the performance of race cars. They're also involved in lots of other things, including positioning and video tracking. If you look at their website, they were actually established in 1992-3. Julian Thomas founded Racelogic from a small office in Buckingham, which is basically the same town as Paramount was formed. And in 1993, Racelogic Traction Control came the first product to roll off the production line with customers including Aston Martin and Rolls-Royce, so quite a high-profile company started by Julian. In 1996, this is the key thing for us, the product portfolio was expanded to include Switchlogic, an F1 style paddle shifter that could be installed on automatic cars to offer the option of a manual gear change. Now this was basically the Switchshift. So Switchlogic was actually offered for Mercedes and ZF gearboxes, mainly for BMWs and Mercedes at the time, but obviously the same ZF gearbox was used for the Jaguar XK8 and XKRs. So hence Paramount was selling this modification. They were actually fitting it, buying it from Racelogic and fitting it on cars and marketing it as Switchshift for the Jaguar variants. And we can see this in an early advert for that feature from Paramount. I found this Switchshift advert. It's available for sale on eBay. I didn't buy it, but I was able to get this information from the internet. So if you have a look at the advertisement, it's basically advertising full manual control, safe for swifter overtaking and engine braking. I'm not sure I'd like to do engine braking with this gearbox, but there you go. There is only one thing missing from a XK8 range, a manual option. Here at Paramount, we have filled this gap with another addition to the hugely popular Switchshift range of semi-automatic gearbox conversions. The XK8 conversion is the most sophisticated yet, allowing full manual control of the silky smooth 5-speed ZF gearbox with just a flick of a standard sports/normal switch. The key changes are then performed by pressing the discrete F1 style up and down buttons subtly trimmed into the original leather steering wheel. Now if you see the picture on the left hand side, you can see the steering wheel with the buttons actually facing forwards towards the driver. On some of the cars are actually on the reverse, so when you see some of the cars you can't actually tell that it's got this switch shift converted because the buttons are on the rear of the steering wheel, which foxed me for quite a while because I've been looking at cars trying to find this, but couldn't see the switches because they're on the back. Anyway, continue reading. Driving with switch shift. Full manual control means exactly that. No unexpected kickdowns or random up changes, just quick, precise changes when the driver demands. Ideal for more spirited driving styles. The beauty of the system is that you can change back to automatic mode anytime by simply selecting normal on the Jaguar gearbox switch. So basically what this modification was triggered by was your sport button. So if you press sport, you go into the manual button mode, and if you pressed out of sport, it'd be normal automatic mode. So we'll continue reading. Increased performance. The standard Jaguar changes are incredibly smooth, in fact so smooth that performance is lost between gears. Whilst driving in switch shift mode, the gear change speed is altered, which will knock 0.25 seconds off the 0 to 60 time, which is interesting. It goes a bit quicker. Safety. Many important safety features are integrated within the system to ensure maximum reliability. For instance, if you were to select first gear at 70 miles an hour, the system would only select the lowest gear possible for that road speed and RPM. However, the system remembers the command when road speed allows, the gear would be selected. This facility is particularly useful for pre-selecting low gear at high speed in anticipation of approaching a bend or junction. Driver display. To avoid any confusion when driving with switch shift, we incorporated a gear display indicator which shows the selected gear. Now I believe there are two additional sort of indicators on the main instrument cluster, two little round things in between the three dials, and one of those is I believe it's a shift light, and one is actually the shift or gear indicator, but I've got to get that confirmed. So there you go, there's the early advert. So Jaguar wasn't going to offer an automatic gearbox, so the guys at Racelogic and Paramount decided to go ahead with this mod, and it was got quite a good write-up. If we look at the costs, I couldn't find any costs when Paramount were selling it, but when Chaz moved to Racing Green, I've got an advert or a price list for Racing Green modifications, and it's detailed in there. This is an extract from Racing Green with Ardent price list, 26th of October 2001. I'm going to be detailing the full contents of this price list in another video. So that's coming very shortly. So if we look at the particular thing about this sequential gearbox systems, Racelogic F1 speed shifter for the XKR retailed at £2,450. 5-speed sequential gear change system for automatic gearbox transfers authority from the J-gate to 4 push buttons mounted on the rear of the steering wheel spokes. 4 push buttons, I thought there was only 2. Revised gear change strategies and transmission protection features. Selected gear shown by the dashboard LED indicators, which I was speaking about. Optional first gear selectable up to 23 miles per hour. Supplied fitted. So they actually supply the whole thing for you, actually fitted. So they don't sell you the box and get you to fit it. It was all installed. And there is a slightly different speed shift option for the XK8. 5-speed, well, this is £1,950, £1,950, a little bit cheaper. 5-speed sequential gear change system for automatic gearbox. System is as described as XKR, but accept different gearbox strategies provided to compensate for less engine power and lower gearbox torque limit. As you know, the ZF gearbox couldn't quite take the full torque needed with the or provided by the supercharged engine, hence why they moved to the Mercedes. So that explains why they've changed the shift strategy slightly. Selected gear shown by the dashboard LED indicator. System can be set to change up and down of its own accord with instant manual override. So yeah, automatic option 2. So 2 options, one for the XKR, one for the XK8. Subtly there are some gear change strategies, but they are completely different gearboxes, so that probably does explain some of the cost differences as well. So that's the costs. Now if we look at the Jaguar World review, the guys at Jaguar World were lucky enough to take the Paramount demonstrator out for a bit of a spin with the quick shift system fitted, and they wrote an article about it in Jaguar World, February 1999. So taking a quick look at that, This is actually the I think it's a demonstrator that's actually in the Jaguar XK8 XKR Paramount brochure of the time, or information card I've already had a video on. So if we read the article, Paul Skilter visits the Paramount Arden XK8, this time one equipped with press button gear change. Jaguar are enigmatic. We ain't going to be given a manual gearbox. Jaguar emphatic. We ain't going to be given a manual gearbox. No, sir. Not worth the trouble and expense for a few anticipated extra sales. And you might argue until you're blue in the face that a true sports car with knife-edge steering, precision handling and slick 6-speed manual gearbox might create its own market. But Jaguar's mind is made up. There are niches and there are niches, but this is one they do not intend to fill. And this is a very good point, because Paramount, Racing Green, Ardent all became into being really because Jaguar wasn't selling out and out sports cars. Ironically, it did later with the X150, the aluminium version, and the other sports cars, but not for the XK8 XKR. It's more laid back, not quite as sports orientated. What to do? If money's no object, you might try and persuade somebody like WP Automotive or Lynx Motors International to fit your XK8 with a BMW style 6-shifter. An immensely complicated task which must necessarily include a nightmare of reprogramming all the engine's gearbox interface electronics. It would all surely end up costing you 20 grand plus. I think actually you could get it done for a bit cheaper than that, but it's still a lot of money. Or you could phone Chaz Whittaker at Paramount Performance and spend £2,450 plus VAT on a Switchshift conversion. So there's a whole article. I'm going to read this through with you, so if you enjoy that sort of thing, you stay with us. There is some nice photographs in this article of the Paramount interior modifications. There's puffed up bolsters on the seats, and it's all got trim wood tops on the door cards. Lots of nice touches. And there you go. There's the buttons on the back of the steering wheel. Concave means it shifts upwards. There must be a convex one on the other side. What is Switchshift? Simply a quicker, more convenient way to control your ZF or Mercedes 5-speed auto box that's fitted to all current Jaguars. On either side of the steering wheel is a small button. Press the left-hand one and the gear shifts down a gear. Press the right-hand one and it shifts up a ratio. No fumbling with the J-gate lever with its long movement. Like a man in the song, keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road ahead. Wonderful for that snap overtaking decision or ensuring you're in second for that hairpin. It's really very cunning and was developed by Racelogic, a company operating in the motorsport arena. Originally for road BMWs, over 200 conversions have been sold to date. The Jaguar application has evolved with input from Paramount. Nothing mechanical has changed. It works by manipulating the gearbox electronics, transferring control from the J-gate selector to the steering wheel buttons. These send up or down signals via battery-powered transmitter buried in the steering wheel center to a receiver, which in turn interacts with the gearbox brain to initiate a change of ratio. So it's all very clever. So it doesn't have any wires between the steering wheel buttons and the main control box. It's done quite cleverly. The beauty of this is that full conventional automatic function is restored if you press the sport button on the console. As with the sport mode switched out, the box operates normally. Even with switch shift mode, the box will change up or down at the minimum non-sport points to protect the gearbox, which could be damaged if, for example, you tried to pull away from rest in fifth. Also returned are those wonderfully smooth changes. All that's altered is a newfound ability to select sequentially the ratio you require exactly when you want it. Wouldn't that be nice? Nor is safety compromised. The box retains its raw speed inhibit, which enables which prevents a down change that would result in over-revving. Instead, it stores the command and puts the ratio in when the speed drops to an appropriate level, rather like the old Wilson pre-selector gearbox. I don't expect many of you would have tried this, but it's pretty neat. You could select, say, second gear on the quadrant at 100 miles an hour, but it would come in only when you press the pedal. I mean, good grief. How old do you think we are? Great for approaching a fast corner, it was commonly used by Daimler and Armstrong Sidney in the 1930s through the 1950s. Good grief, we're going back a bit there. Adapting to the system takes an experienced driver but a few miles. I found that after just 5 miles of country road driving, the action of shifting up and down by means of those two buttons was becoming quite natural. There's a little LED indicator on the steering column housing, which spells out the gear in which you're in, but I found this scarcely necessary. After I'd adjusted to the fact that the buttons go around with the wheel, thus suiting a cross-arms racing driver style of steering, it all began to be really rather fun. It sounds fun, to be honest. I'd love to have a go at this flappy paddle style gear changes. The modern car is somewhat insulating, and this system returns the vital measure of control to the driver. In short, I love the Switchshift. On the 3.2 XJ I'm currently running, it would go a long way to overcoming the car's reluctance to respond at certain speeds. And I would say that's one problem I have with my XK. It's lovely for gliding along, cruising along, but when you do want to get on, you do have to wind it up, and it does take quite a long time, or proportionally long time, to get it on the boil, because you have waiting for the automatic gearbox to respond. But there you go. The afternoon also provided the opportunity to resample some of the modifications which Paramount market in the UK, stemming mainly from their tie-in with the long-established German tuning specialist Arden. The Subject XK8 was equipped with Paramount Arden lowered suspension, 19-inch alloy wheels, which at the time was big. Obviously Jaguar went to 20s. Switchable steering upgrade and various interior conversion items. If the standard XK8 can be likened to Peter Mandelson, should I say, yeah, smooth, slick, unobtrusive, but extremely clever, then the Paramount Arden XK8 is an Alan Clark, racing and entertaining in an aristocratic sort of way. The lower suspension, and particularly the ultra-low profile Bridgestone pole position tyres, give an unyielding and un-Jaguar low-speed ride, but it does smooth out with the faster you go. This is one thing with these tuned cars, you do lose the Jaguar ride. I know people say their car doesn't, but you know, it's like riding on a carpet if it's set up properly. But these more sporty Jags do have a harsher ride. The benefit is enhanced grip and much more precise control, especially at three-figure speeds. So the XK assumes the character of a true sports car, where ultimate comfort takes second place to sheer controllability, as you see in the later Jags. Every indication is that the standard XK8 or R is right for 95% of the buyers. The Paramount Arden caters for the 5% who prefer something more involving, it is far more akin to the more agricultural TB7, especially if you specify Arden's 420 bhp supercharged engine conversion, and it's cheaper too. The only item affecting the power on the sample car was Paramount's large bore sports exhaust system. This replaces the rear part of the XK8 standard system with the free-flowing rear boxes and pipes, which are not crimped as they go over the rear suspension. So I think they've got sport back boxes and the over axle pipes, basically, aka like Adamesh. An extra 10 to 15 bhp is claimed, but surely the real purpose is to liberate the wonderful V8 burble. This sounded great from both inside and outside the car, and while I'm wary of the exhaust note, which might become tiresome on a long motorway journey, Chaz assures me that much of the noise is left behind at speed. Finally, it's astonishing how an inch or so off the ride height wider wheels rear wing And most surprising of all, that Paramount bonnet badge so completely altered the XK8's appearance. It does look more aggressive, to be fair. No wonder it's often mistaken for Aston Martin's DB7, as these changes blur the distinction between the two cars very considerably, despite the silhouette remaining essentially unchanged. Well, they are based on the same floor plan. An interesting afternoon, therefore, which I came away a convinced Switchshift fan. I wish I could have a go. It goes 80% of the way towards a manual gearbox, with lots of enthusiasts think they want, including me, but wouldn't actually order even if they could, because Chad revealed that the 50-odd turbo XJ6 connoisseurs he sold, only 3 left the works with a manual gearbox. But a sporty XK, that's a different proposition. Obviously, this was an article back in 1999, so even then, I don't think they sold many Switchshift. It is a very, very rare option. In this magazine, there's also a great article about XK180. I'm going to feature that on the channel because that's really interesting too. I'd like to share this 20-year-old article with you. There you go. There's an example. It goes into lots of detail of the gestation period and how it came about. But anyway, we digress. Just before we finish, there are some of these little indicators shown in the center of the picture here in between the dials. I think what the left-hand side red one, I think, was the indicator of the gear you're in, and there's a green one on the right-hand side of the speedometer, which I believe is a shift light, but I could be wrong, and I'd love to be corrected. I'd like to again request anybody who's got one of these cars to contact us and share information for the XK8 community, anything about chassis, Paramount, Racing Green, Ardent, you name it. If you've got a modified car, we'd love to show it on the channel and share the information. If you've got any information you're happy to share, please send it to the email address owendr@gmail.com. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you find that interesting. Please like, comment, share and subscribe if you'd like to see more XK8 videos.